flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn. It's a new day, it's a new life for me. Late night in Moscow, where nothing ever happens. Night glens in the moonlight, no escape. White knight on day lurking, knife in the door.
Paranoid searches for a full vision ride. Under surveillance, nowhere to hide. Influence creeps like blood on the floor. Fine line between peace and war. From campus to crypt, the script flips tragic, mystic and twisted. Magic turn manic. All crew lingers, but the echo remain. Chains of the slain in eternal pain.
And here we go.
Welcome to the freak show, the best in town.
What is going on, Hive? I hope everybody's having a fantastic day. And I got a great one lined up for you all tonight. I'm going to be honest. All right. I was debating saying anything about this. I just saw another thumbnail right before I went live. Tommy Jude has passed away, everybody. And right there, you just kind of saw me debating this in my head, and I'm very sorry. I don't know how I was going to start the show after I just saw that. And Coco, if you're watching this, man. Oh. I don't mean any disrespect by saying that. Before anybody else, I saw a thumbnail and I've made it very clear how I feel about Tommy. His entire team are great people, and I think the only way to really start the show, not even for dramatic fashion, is just like to dedicate this to him. There's a lot of people in here that only know about me because of Tommy, and I'm very honored and I'm happy that I got to go on his last stream. During the entire course of the intro, I've been searching for this video that this little edit that I did of him and I on our first ever live that we did together. And I've been looking for that. But I'm sorry to break the bad news, everybody. You know, when people die, it sucks, guys. I know that I'm not the only person that probably has. If you knew Tommy, or just in general, whenever you get that news or those text messages, there's just a flood of emotions that comes by or that comes into you. And I'm not even going to try to like sugarcoat it. That shit just sucks. It sucks. He was a great person. It's a sad situation. And Tommy, you're going to be missed. And I'm looking this up real quick. Let me just try to find it. And if I can't find it, you know, it is what it is. I didn't plan on saying that right away. And I don't want, Tommy wouldn't want it. And I'm not even just saying that because it's like, guys, I've been through so much. I just as many people have where it's like, you don't just want to say like, Tommy would want this or your father would want this or your sister would want this, your mom would want this. It's like, on a real note, as much as death sucks, and it sucks terribly, I choose to believe that these people's souls are still living. They are no longer struggling. They're happy. And when somebody says they would want you to do X, Y, or Z, I look at it through the light of, it's not a matter of them wanting us to do it. It's we should want to do it for them. And so I'm going to acknowledge that that's a terribly sad way to start this stream. But I think what I'm going to do now is focus in and try to have the best stream that I've ever had. Day before Idaho 4 as well. Just the timing of it is wild. And so, with that being said, make sure that you tell everybody that you do love, that you love them. And people that, if you had a falling out, like it sounds sappy. You don't have to fix all the beef. You don't have to figure out all the problems. Just if you love them, tell them. And there's really no way to come back from that intro other than just let's get into this. I'm going to say what's up to everybody. This evening is going to be mind-blowing. What are the effing odds is the theme that I have for tonight. And I think that it's time we give real effort to this thought process of what I'm going to present to you tonight. All right. So let's have everybody dial in. I'm going to say what's up to everybody. And I promise you tonight's live is going to be mind-blowing. All right. So with that being said, Kimmy, Delta, Love and Other Habits, Amanda B from West Virginia, Lex Green, Cryptic Conversions, Discord Dawn, Elizabeth, Pop and Switch, Rockalily, Chocolate Covered Ants, Genuinely Confused, Mitty Witty, Crowd, Cookies Corner 420, UFO Dog, Dina, Ren, Mama J, Sleuther, Sarah Charleston, Sensenke, Denise, formerly known as Beck, Tara, Lookout, 604, Elizabeth, Jessica Lawing, True Crime Princess, Deborah, Luna, Arizona Barbie, Mel's, JoJo, Shoe Girl, Teresa, JP Swanson, George, Wolf Angel, Cat Brash, Don Rosa, Rachel, who lives near the ice wall, Not Lamey Jamie, Blue Eyed Candy, Rockalily, Harper Steele, Bang Bang, PsyOp Life 2025, UK Karen, how are you doing? Rochelle, Tiptoe, Brandon H, Kathy, Ariana, Just Listening, Molly Bledsoe, and Pat Ward, Haley Muckenfuss, good to see you. The Real Terry Weed is tuning in. Sleuther Dare, Curious Cat, Mama J, Regina, LA Mike, good to see you. KS Justin Art, Wonders Deep, Paula, Tammy, Johnny, Invisible Karma, Pinto, Sack, what's going on? Cats Mojo. Tara B. Sherry, great to see your name in here. That cat came back. Blue Orchid, Momo's thinking. Jesse's girl, McCann. Steve. Down the rabbit hole to hell. Tuning in from Scotland. Shoe Booty 704 says Tommy knows all the secrets now. Shit. He better find a way to get them to us somehow. 1984, K-Kaz girl. Baby Ames, good to see you. And, excuse me. So, all right. We're going to lock in. It's addressed. And tonight, we're going to have an awesome stream for Tommy Jude. And when I said, what are the effing odds of this entire case? Guys, I don't even need to go into the weeds with the odds of a single perpetrator committing a Jason Bourne timeline, as I've said a million times, leaving no DNA on him, in his car, in his apartment, no scratches on him. He has no connection to the victims. They can't put him in the house. They don't even know if it's his car via the license plate. You can't see him in the car. The timeline's a mess. It makes zero sense. And then he comes face to face with Dylan, one of the surviving roommates, and after committing a quadruple homicide with a K-bar knife that they never found, she says she doesn't know what's real, what's fake, and waits 8 hours to call 911. While the other roommate, Bethany, is texting her dad and saying she passed out from taking Advil from a toothache. And then they tear the house down. Everything's sealed and redacted. They've waited how long to release info? The autopsy reports do not match the crime scene photos that we've been privy to see. Family reactions, they have not grown closer. They've grown apart, which I guess could be explained. But you'd think there's got to be some divide, maybe as the denominator there. You have the media running a perfectly step-in-step narrative. So much has come out. Not a single channel has changed their tune. And it's confusing. It's also unrealistic that this is happening naturally. This is the theory that I would call the forbidden Idaho 4 theory. There's like 3 of them. The fact that this was set up where the narrative and the overarching goal and accomplishment of these murders is something completely different than justice, it rubs people the wrong way. So I'm going to give a disclaimer. Probably the most serious disclaimer I've given in a very long time, since the WITSEC days, the ritual days. Like tonight is one of those type of nights. So if this is your first time tuning into the Hive Mind, I'm your host, Birdie. This is a contrarian thinking live stream. So if you're offended or if you're rattled on behalf of others, this is not going to be the stream for you. You're not going to like me. You're probably not going to like the chat. And what does that mean? Well, we don't think that it makes sense anybody would wait 8 hours to call 911 after 4 of their best friends and they see them laying on the floor, stabbed to death. That doesn't make sense to us. They were never treated like a suspect. We're questioning why. If questioning the press release or the headlines pisses you off, just scroll away right now. But if you do like to think past the headlines, if you like to look into the weeds, if you like to dive deeper, read the footnotes and learn about what the bigger picture 40,000 foot view and what is trying to be accomplished with this narrative is, Well, then you have found your people. You're amongst friends. We are often referred to as the tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorists. That's where you're at right now if this is your first time tuning in, just to make that crystal clear. And so when I lay all that out, right, what are the odds of that? 0%. I'm not even joking you. I would be curious if we could have some sort of AI, like predictive program run outcomes. I bet we would get a 0% this would ever happen naturally. Is there anybody in here that believes there is more than a 0% chance that, given everything, I'm talking Amazon's series not having to be adjusted and just dropping 2 days after a plea deal? You have all of the redactions in court, alternate perpetrator stuff where Brian Kohberger is in the middle of the alt perps that are cleared. You have so many things that don't make sense. I said this with Devil's Advocates on the stream. I saw a clip of mine pop up on my FYP, one of the mods that has a clips page. I was on the treadmill and I saw it, and it was me and DA talking about, even if the Vampire Diaries background sound from the episode and whatever season that was saying like, it's okay, I'm here to help. If that is the only thing that would have happened in this case, do you realize like the chances of even that happening, where somebody remembers that and they don't call 911 for 8 hours and they're not treated like a suspect? It doesn't make any sense. So what I want to do tonight, I want to find the connection. I want to look into the people that make this make no sense. Let me clarify. I want to look into the people that have pivotal roles in the Idaho 4 case. And if they are somebody that causes confusion, if they seal and they redact things, if they don't seem to care about the timeline, I want to take all of those people and I want to see, do they know each other? Is there any overlapping wires with them? Because I have a working theory based off of like a 9-minute video that Jay and Bree Pavarotti put out about Kohberger's paper. Pretty much all he did was read Kohberger's paper. I had done that over the weekend, and something tells me that we can tie this in a bow as far as how does this all become a coincidence based on Brian Kohberger's paper, certain funding, certain attorneys, certain prosecutors. Like, I did my best to start a compelling argument, and I'm going to lean into the Hive tonight. I'm going to lean in to you all this evening in the chat to try to piece this together. So it's going to be like a hybrid live dig. Okay. I'm not going to have 100% of what I'm saying right now figured out, but I do know, and I do believe with 100% everything in me, there might be connections to all these people. Now, if we can find them is the question. Before we go ahead and we dive super deep into all that, we put our tinfoil hats on. If you guys have not hit that like button, please do. Same thing with the subscribe button. I go live every weeknight at 7 p.m. Central. Saturdays are random. Sunday nights I go live at 7 p.m. as well. So I try to go live every day, hang out here in the Hive. Nomadic Duckman asks, and thank you for the super chat, did law enforcement ever ask DM or BF point blank, did you commit this crime? This is the most basic question, and I don't believe it was ever asked to either of them. God bless you, Birdie Duckman. Well, thank you so much, Duckman. And I can tell you this. I've never heard that question asked. The only thing that I've heard said by the cops is, "Thank you so much for cooperating. We're grateful you're talking. If at any point we ask you a question you don't want to answer, yada, 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 you don't have to." They said right away, these girls are. What did Chief Fry say in that press conference? It was like, we're not treating them as suspects, and we also never said they're witnesses? Or was it, we're not treating them as suspects nor victims? Right? Wasn't it something like that? I can't remember. I know I could pull it up, but I feel like somebody in the chat's going to remember. Yeah, you're not a suspect is what they said to them. Right. But what was it also, what was also said in that press conference with Chief Fry 3-4 days after? Let's see. What are people saying? Ashley says, "It blows my mind they never asked them why they didn't call 911." That too. Or yeah, they're victims. They're not suspects, survivors, and witnesses. Yep. That's what it was. I never said they were witnesses. Whoa. Well, what does that mean? Now, after the fact. You know what? I didn't plan on showing it. If I can find that real quick, let me just go ahead, pull it up.
Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Chief James Fry with the Moscow Police Department. The last spelling of my name is F-R-Y. I'd like to introduce Moscow Police Captain Roger Lanier, Colonel Kedrick Wells of the Idaho State Police, University of Idaho President Scott Green, Dean of Students for the University of Idaho, Blaine Eccles, and Latah County Prosecutor Bill Thompson. This incident has shaken our community, has continued to shake our community, and we continue to mourn for the victims. We will continue to vigorously pursue the investigation and pursue justice in this case. It is a complex and terrible crime, and it will take some time to resolve. Today, we want to clarify what we know and where we're at in this investigation. Our primary goal is public safety and to get a completion of this case and bring someone to justice. We continue to dedicate all the resources to this investigation. We've had 646 tips received, and all will be processed, vetted, investigated, and cleared. We've done over 90 interviews in this case so far, and the Moscow Police.
They've done over 90 interviews in this case so far.
Police Department is utilizing the assistance from the Idaho State Police, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and Latah County Sheriff's Office. The personnel that has been assigned to this from the Moscow Police Department is 4 detectives, 24 officers, and 5 support staff. Federal Bureau of Investigators, we have 22 investigators in Moscow, 20 additional are assigned and located in the Treasure Valley, Salt Lake City, Utah, and West Virginia. We have 2 behavior analysis individuals from the Federal Bureau of Investigation. For the Idaho State Police, we have 20 investigators, a public information officer, ISP forensic services, and a crime scene team. We have 15 uniformed troopers to assist our community to help provide the additional resources for our patrols. Detectives are looking to develop any content that would help us in this event. Anyone who has observed any notable behavior or has any video surveillance or can provide relevant information about these murders, please call our tip line at 208-883-7180. Or you can email the tip line and that is tipline@ci.moscow.id.us. At this time, I would like to introduce Captain Lanier to give you some additional information.
Good afternoon. My name is Roger Lanier. I'm a captain over the Operations Division for the Moscow Police Department. My last name is spelled Lanier. I just want to first state that this tragic murder has shaken the community. It's been very hard for members of the community, and it's been equally difficult for our officers and for the investigators. We will continue to put all of our resources towards investigating and bringing this to a resolution. Here's what we've determined so far.
One of the things that I just want to say is Fry says, we know this is going to be complex and it's going to take some time. Yet Middleman, who sees Mrs. Chapin at a crime con, already says, she came up to me right before Thanksgiving, says, we got him. Steve G says, we have your car. We had your car right away. You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense. And thank you, Amy Mama W. Pray for Tommy's family. R.I.P. Tommy Jude, an amazing part of this community, will be missed. Absolutely. That he will. Thank you for the super chat. And
evening of November 12th, Kaylee Gonsalves and Madison Wogan were at a local bar and were later at a food truck in downtown Moscow. They arrived home at approximately 1:45 a.m. on the morning of November 13th. Ethan Chapin and Xana Kernodle were at the Sigma Chi house before also arriving home at approximately 1:45 a.m. Two surviving roommates were also out in the community, and they returned home at approximately 1 a.m. and did not wake up until later that morning. On the morning of November 13th, at 11:58 a.m., a 911 call was placed to the Whitcomb Dispatch Center reporting an unconscious person. The call originated from inside the residence and was made from the phone of one of the surviving roommates. Moscow Police Department officers responded and located 4 victims, 2 on the 2nd floor and 2 on the 3rd floor. The Latah County coroners conducted autopsies, and detectives have been provided with the results of those autopsies. We know that the autopsies confirmed the identity of the 4 victims, determined the cause and manner of death as homicide by stabbing, and determined that it was likely all 4 victims were asleep during the attack. Some of the victims had defensive wounds, and each victim was stabbed multiple times.
wait, did he just say that? 758?
With the results of reporting an unconscious person. The call originated from inside the residence and was made from the phone of one of the surviving roommates. Moscow Police Department officers responded and located 4 victims, 2 on the 2nd floor and 2 on the 3rd floor. The Latah County coroners conducted autopsies, and detectives have been provided with the results of those autopsies. We know that the autopsies confirmed the identity of the 4 victims, determined the cause and manner of death as homicide by stabbing, and determined that it was likely all 4 victims were asleep during the attack. Some of the victims had defensive wounds, and each victim was stabbed multiple times. There was no sign of sexual assault.
You know what's interesting? I just realized the no sign of sexual assault thing was said right from the jump. It was made very clear by Bill Thompson, and yet the G family made it very, very clear that they felt like BK was a pedo. The narrative, stalking, incel. What is up with this? Make that make sense. This is said from the beginning.
Investigators have determined 2 areas of interest within the city and have provided maps which are on our Facebook page and on our website. And these are areas that they have canvassed for additional surveillance video and tips and have contacted several residents in the areas. The areas are generally south of Taylor Avenue to Palouse River Drive and west of Highway 95.
Let me just write that down. I didn't plan on watching this tonight, and it's like, damn, sometimes I forget exactly what was said. So it was.
The areas are generally south of Taylor Avenue to Palouse River Drive and west of Highway 95. Detectives have also canvassed several other neighborhoods looking for evidence. Palouse River Drive and west of Highway 95. Detectives have also canvassed several other neighborhoods looking for evidence, looking for additional surveillance video, and contacting residents and speaking to them to see if they may have heard or seen something. I want to address several areas of speculation, conjecture, and misinformation that has circulated on social media platforms and otherwise. We do not believe the following individuals are involved in this crime: the 2 surviving roommates, a male seen at the grub truck food vendor downtown, specifically wearing a white hoodie, a private party who provided rides home to Kaylee and Madison in the early morning hour of November.
You know what? That brings up a good point. They've been trying to make it so clear that there was no SA, yet a lot of other stuff they've said has been completely the opposite. They were asleep the whole time. No, they weren't. There's no SA. Well, holy shit. Was there? Because you got a victim's family saying that.
13th. Additionally, the identity of the 911 caller and the 911 call have not been released, so any information out there is speculation about that. Investigators are aware that multiple phone calls from Madison and Kaylee's phone were made to a male subject. Any online reports stating that the victims had been tied and gagged are not accurate. Detectives seized the contents of 3 dumpsters on King Road.
It's very interesting listening to this now, knowing that they have no problem trying to throw people off of what actually happened. They bring up a very, very serious online accusation of being bound and gagged. They make sure to say there's no SA.
And searched those dumpsters in an effort to find additional evidence, but nothing of note was discovered. Early in the investigation, local businesses were canvassed in an effort to see if any fixed blade type knives may have recently been purchased. And currently, there are no suspects in custody, and we have not located a weapon. I want to assure you that every investigator involved will continue to put all of their resources and all of our partner agencies' resources into continuing this investigation. We do appreciate the community's support. We understand how stressful it is, and we will continue to work through this situation. At this time, I would like to turn the mic over to Colonel Wills from the Idaho State Police.
Thank you, Captain. My name is Kedrick Wills, Kedrick and I serve as the director of the Idaho State Police. And I appreciate your attendance this afternoon as we talk about this horrific, horrific crime. The murders of Ethan, Xana, Madison, and Kaylee are a tragic loss to all of us. Nothing we can do will bring back these young lives. But we have an absolute commitment to working together to solve these senseless murders. And the way that we know how to do that is partnerships. And our partnership with the Moscow Police Department, with the Idaho State Police, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and the University of Idaho to bring this issue to a conclusion and bring this to justice is absolute. We continue with Idaho State Police resources here on the ground in Moscow and throughout Idaho. Whatever the needs are, that's what we want to do. And the chief spoke about the Idaho State Police resources that are here. And he spoke about patrol resources, and we have those uniformed troopers here in Moscow and on the campus of the University of Idaho to help people to feel safe and to provide that security to the people that are here, both in the student body as well as in the community at large. And we will continue to do that as long as is necessary throughout this time. In addition, that's in addition to our forensics team that was here, in addition to our investigative team and all the other state police resources. We know that people want answers. We want answers too. As was already mentioned, this is really, really difficult for those investigators, those dedicated professionals who are investigating this crime. And a lot of people have expressed their desire to help, and the best thing that most of people can do to help is to stop with any kind of rumors and just seek official information that comes out of the Moscow Police Department. Anything that we have that we can share from a law.
We are your official source of truth, everybody. Don't listen to anybody else. Don't trust your brains. Don't do your own research. We will think for you. We will tell you everything you need to say and what you need to read. And we know what you can handle and what you cannot. How dare you? Everything you say is a rumor. We are the official source of truth. Now, let us redact all of it, and you get no access to it, you peasants. Give me a break.
A lot of people have expressed their desire to help, and the best thing that most of people can do to help is to stop with any kind of rumors and just seek official information that comes out of the Moscow Police Department. Anything that we have that we can share from a law enforcement perspective, we will be sharing just as soon as we can, because that's how we think that we can get this to conclusion. Please rely on official sources of information, and please be patient. I understand that everybody wishes that this was solved already, but these things take time. It takes time to work through. You heard the stats of all the tips and everything, the interviews and everything that's been done. Yeah. This takes time for our investigators to work through. So please be patient as we work through this investigation. We owe this to these young kids, to these young adults. We owe it to them. And we are absolutely dedicated to make sure that that happens. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to introduce the University of Idaho President Scott Green.
Scott Green, President, University of Idaho. Last name spelled Green. That's the color.
Sorry. Holy shit, Scott Green. Scott Green. Last name spelled exactly how you would think it is, but I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to follow what everybody else has done because I clearly can't think for myself. I'm nervous because I'm up here lying, most likely. So I'm going to tell you how to spell the color green. Jesus H.
First, we continue to extend our heartfelt condolences to the families and friends of the victims. As stated earlier, we want justice and appreciate the increased resources from the Idaho State Police and FBI that have been brought to bear on this crime. We fully appreciate and share the frustration of our students, employees, parents, and community members who continue to push for answers. While we wait for answers in the investigation,
I guess there's a decent argument to be made about there being an E at the end of it. All right, fine, cheeky koala. You got me there. I'll give you that.
we've ramped up our security safety practices and are listening to students and supporting them in any way possible. The University of Idaho's primary focus now is on supporting our students and working to meet their varied needs. The police continue to inform us that they believe this was a targeted attack, but we recognize this is not good enough for some of our students who will want to complete their semester remotely until the person who committed the crime is in custody. We are also hearing that some students want to be back on campus and in Moscow because they gain comfort from the structure of classes and being with their friends and professors. All reactions and feelings are valid, and we all process these tragedies differently. We're asking instructors to plan for both sets of students as we finish the semester. We will be communicating decisions early this week so that families can discuss and plan their individual response over the Thanksgiving break. We learned a lot during COVID, and we have many course delivery options our faculty can deploy to meet student needs. Student and employee safety remain our priority. We have increased security patrols on campus since we were notified of this off-campus incident. We have also benefited from increased Idaho State Police presence on our campus, which we are grateful for. They have been a very visible force, and they will continue this dedicated presence on our campus into the foreseeable future. Importantly, they have also assigned resources to the community since this crime occurred off campus. In addition to the campus-wide precautions being taken, we offer the following safety and security features in our residence halls. We will continue our Safe Walk, available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All residence halls are locked 24 hours a day and only accessible by students that live in the building. All guests must be accompanied by a resident of the building. Each residential community has a dedicated resident assistant staff and a live-in full-time resident director to help ensure a safe environment. Every evening, there are resident assistants that are on duty to perform safety and security rounds in their area, including during fall break. Housing and resident life always has at least 2 full-time staff members that are on call to provide support and emergency response 24 hours a day, including over the fall break. And our Learning Center Information Desk Living and Learning Center Information Desk is open 24 hours a day and will be open all of fall break for our students' needs. While we certainly hope there's a swift closure with the arrest of whoever is responsible for this crime,
we know that there's not going to be. This is going to be years in the making, because I was supposed to testify on Monday as to where all the money went for the purchase of the University of Phoenix. And thank God, my buddy Josh Hurwitz may or may not have been teaching as a professor at the U of I during that time, as what's known as an adjunct professor. A little bit of a sneak peek of what we're going to be getting into tonight.
we must also be prepared for all the possibilities, including a lengthy investigation. We must balance safety concerns and the need to grieve, along with the long-term needs of our students and our employees. We're making security our top priority. We are also planning for the very real possibility that some students aren't comfortable returning to campus. We will do our best to meet the needs of all students. Our faculty is working hard over the break to consider alternative delivery methods. We will also continue making counseling services available for all our students and employees as we process our grief. The care and concern for our Vandal family is our primary role, and we take that very seriously. We are a Vandal family, and nothing means more to us than family. And I'd also like to just thank all those, and for the great outpouring of support we've received from the nation. It's been incredible time, and all those who stand in solidarity with us, just know it means a great deal to us. Thank you.
All right, look, I'm gonna say this, and I don't know how many people agree with this. I could walk up there right now, out of the blue, and I could give a better speech than that. I could make it more heartfelt. If I saw these victims' parents backstage and I saw their pain and I saw their grief, I would go up there and I would look at the crowd more than 5 seconds total. I would have zero concern about the university if I was the president of that university and this just happened at an off-campus home and there are rumors of people being bound and gagged. There are rumors of the frats being involved in Greek life. We have no idea who did this. I would be going up there and would be saying, I don't know who did this, but whoever you are, you better sleep with one eye open. Because when we get you, your ass is going to be in front of the firing squad, the death penalty, the murder room. Your ass is done. And we're not messing around. We got the FBI here. We got the ISP. We have all these resources. God damn you for trying to do this at the University of Idaho. That's what I would say. Zero emotion, mouth breathing, low T beta simp president right there.
So we're going to open it up at this time to about 8 to 10 questions. We ask that only one question is asked per person, please. And I would also like to just see if there's an Argonaut reporter here. I think it's only fair to give our student reporter the first shot.
Speak up if you're in the room, if you're from the Argonaut.
There.
Are you from the Argonaut?
Are you from the University of Idaho Argonaut? Is anybody from the University of Idaho Argonaut? Okay.
I know that's the person that I'm supposed to ask all these questions to, and I understand the university doesn't want to be held liable. Well, they're not dumb. They have to know that at some point they're going to be investigated. They have to know this, given the merger, given anybody that really has 2 eyes, 2 ears, and a brain. You know what I mean? Let me now turn this back over to Chief Fry, who's only going to take questions from a certain person. And again, I'm sorry for the cussing. That lady's comment, I'm glad you said it. I'm not being rude. I don't care about the cussing because I'm sick of people not seeing this. I'm so sick of it. I want justice for these families and for these victims, or I want to know the truth if there's some giant operation going on. But we're talking about murder, all right? We're talking about stabbings. We're talking about drugs. We're talking about being bound and gagged. I think people can handle a couple of cuss words.
Okay. Thank you.
CBS.
Good afternoon. I'm Ted Williams, Fox News. You all have said that these killings are targeted. Can you share with us why you believe they are targeted killings? And do you know who, if any, of the victims were the actual targets of the killings?
Well, if you look through the ritual lens, the dog is the guardian of the underworld. And yes, it was sacrificed just about 10 days beforehand on November 13th. And when you look at what the lunar cycle was going through, there was a blood moon, and a lot of ritual sacrifices may occur during that time frame, especially maybe if you worship Odin or if you have any ties to a criminal network that considers Odin into these sacrifices. And you could talk to a lot of people that have been undercover, maybe some people that have been inside of the Outlaws that talk about Odin and sacrificing goats and how this is an absolute real thing. But just because the public doesn't know about it doesn't mean that it's woo-woo.
As we stated earlier in the previous press release, or press conference, we believe they're targeted because we take the totality of all the circumstances that we're looking at. Do we know any one person that it was targeted? We're not able to say at this point in time due to our investigation, but we still believe that. But we, like I said, we take a totality of everything that we're looking at.
Chief Glenn Mosley, Idaho Public Radio here in Moscow. On the resources, do you have the resources that you need?
We do have the resources. It is an incredible outpouring of what we received from the Idaho State Police and from the Federal Bureau of Investigations and Lake County. Anything we ask for is given. So at any time, if we need additional, all I have to do is call the colonel, and he will provide that. He's already guaranteed me that, and I know the FBI has said the same thing.
Hi, Emma Epperly from the Spokesman Review. I know you've said you're not going to release who the 911 caller was, but was the killer the 911 caller?
I will tell you no.
Looking back at that question, I feel like that takes mad guts to ask that question. Wow. Oh, I did not remember that. Yes, that is a mic drop question. Because they had said in the beginning that there were two roommates. It's known that two roommates survived and that one of them came from one of their cell phones. And this woman had the guts to stand up and say, was the killer the person who called 911? Wow.
Can you clarify, you said it was made from the roommate's phone, but you didn't say the roommate made the call. So did the roommate...
So, and then this lady is clarifying, if you guys can't hear that, I have it turned up all the way, but she says, can you clarify, is it one of the roommates that made the call?
No.
Can you clarify, you said it was made from the roommate's phone, but you didn't say the roommate made the call. So did the roommate make the call on the roommate's phone, or can you clarify if it was another individual who made the call?
Actually, if we could just go to this one first. And
Well, that's why I wanted to.
So what I'll say to that is it was made from the roommate's call, or phone, excuse me, and we're not going to divulge who made that call. It's part of our investigation still, and when we get ready to release that, we will.
Dude, this is telling. If you're not counting them being Dylan and Bethany as suspects, why wouldn't you say, yeah, they woke up, they saw their roommates murdered, and they called? Well, I'm not going to tell you who used the roommate's phone. So now we have to wonder, is one of the victims' phone used to call 911? Now that would be a trip. Has anybody seen? I don't know if I have, and if I'm just brain farting on this, my apologies. Has anybody seen that it's DM's number or BF's number, or like whose number called 911? Damn.
Hi, Christina Corbin with Fox News. The male subject whom the women called, has he been ruled out as a suspect or person of interest?
Wait, what was that?
Christina Corbin with Fox News. The male subject whom the women called, has he been ruled out as a suspect or person of interest?
everything that we have taken from those calls, we have followed up on, we've cleared, and we believe that there's no connection there.
Because they know who did this.
Gotti Schwartz, NBC News. Just following up on the 911 call, you said that you don't believe that's the killer. Can you conclusively rule out the person that called 911 from inside the home as a suspect in this case?
Can you go ahead and just ask that one more time, please?
The person that was inside the home that called 911 that was not one of the roommates. Can you conclusively rule that person out as a suspect at this point?
I don't think I said that it wasn't one of the roommates. I said that it was used with the roommate's phone.
I believe.
Whoa. Hang on. Dude, I am so glad that we went back and we watched this. Did you guys hear that? And then listen to somebody from the back goes, no, you did say that. Turn up your TVs, turn up your phones. Listen to this. This is insane. I'll go back like 30 seconds here.
Conclusively rule out the person that called 911 from inside the home as a suspect in this case?
Can you go ahead and just ask that one more time, please?
The person that was inside the home that called 911 that was not one of the roommates. Can you conclusively rule that person out as a suspect at this point?
I don't think I said that it wasn't one of the roommates. I said that it was used with the roommate's phone.
I believe somebody asked if that was the killer, and you said no.
No, that's correct.
Was there someone there other than the two?
Dude, the reporters are onto it. They are onto it.
One of the roommates. I said that it was used with the roommate's phone.
So it was used with the roommate's phone. I'm just not going to say it was the roommate. I will tell you. I will tell you. Is that some sort of legal protective language, Chief Fry? Because you got a bunch of people that are in there that are now jumping down your neck saying, well, no, that's not what you said.
Can you conclusively rule that person out as a suspect at this point?
I don't think I said that it wasn't one of the roommates. I said that it was used with the roommate's phone.
I believe
it wasn't one of the roommates that called. I don't believe that I said that. I said it was used with the roommate's phone. Dog. Who made the call and whose phone was used? Holy hell. This is a simple question. You know what? You want to ask why people don't believe the story? We can go back and watch all of the initial interviews and everybody that had their gut instinct go off and sound the warning bell and have red flags start to flash. It's because of little things like this. And I get it. Maybe there are some people that are like, oh, it's not a big deal. Oh, it's not a big deal. Guys, this pace of verbal missteps or redactions or ceilings, it didn't slow down. It only increased. This is a cover-up from the get-go. That's exactly right.
Somebody asked if that was the killer, and you said no.
No, that's correct.
Was there someone there other than the two roommates when police responded to the home?
So will you clarify that for me?
You're not
oh my God.
A roommate called 911, but they used the roommate's phone. So was there someone else at the home other than those two roommates?
There was other friends that had arrived at the location.
How many? Everybody made a call.
Honestly, I'm not quite sure at this time, to be quite honest.
And
do you guys
please,
have any idea?
And please take the microwave, or not the microwave, take the microphone away from her right now. And that's why I'm going to continue to say my point, back up, and look away from you, because I need you to shut up, because you're exposing me and that I'm forgetting my lines.
Yeah, if the killer's still within the community, or are you looking outside the community for the killer in terms of their physical location?
We are looking everywhere that evidence would lead us. I can't say if the person's here. I can't say what community the person's in.
I don't want to keep pausing this, Hive. I can't even watch this. I can't even watch this. We are looking everywhere and we are looking at all the evidence, but I cannot tell you what person, where they are, what community the person is. All I know is we're utilizing all of our resources. But I'm going to get up here and I'm going to tell you all of these for sure answers until you dive into them. And then I'm going to scold you when you ask follow-ups when I don't give you a detailed answer. Chief Fry is now in the Clownhorn Hall of Fame forever. It's like getting your jersey hung up in the rafters.
Utilizing every resource we can to make that location of that individual. And part of that is the safety of our community is paramount, and that's why we brought in the resource that we brought in to keep our community as safe as we can.
Being so close to the border, does that make it kind of automatically an interstate investigation? Can you comment on that?
I cannot comment on that. I'm not even aware.
If you look in Washington at all, I guess, for...
We're looking everywhere. I'm going to take 2 more questions.
Do you still believe this attack was done by one perpetrator? And if so, how does one individual kill 4 people at night and not wake up the other 2 roommates?
Our investigation will continue to look at all avenues of that investigation. I cannot disclose any of that information. I don't even know that information at this point in time, and that's why we're continuing to investigate.
Dude, first of all, look at the face that Chief Fry has as I pause this video. That is, I just shit my pants. That's why I'm done taking questions. And let me ask any parents out in the Hive right now. If you're in this crowd of reporters, how are you not storming the stage? I don't even have kids. If this was my brother, if this was my sister, I am shocked, to say the least.
I don't know how this happened without the other 2 roommates hearing it or waking up or noticing.
We do not. One more question.
Hi, Angela Palermo, Idaho Statesman. In the press release yesterday, you confirmed that the victims were found on the 2nd and 3rd floors of the home. Can you say which of the victims were found where?
I'm not going to go ahead and disclose that information. They were found on the 2nd and 3rd floor, and that's as far as we're going to go with that part of the investigation too, because all those key pieces do come to play later. So we do thank you. We thank.
What? Hold on. Guys, are they... I don't even care. Dude, this shit sounds like they are covering up, giving... Are they giving these people enough time that were in this house? If you're somebody who's just dumb and you don't know that witness protection is real, okay, I'm not trying to be rude, but if you're like dumb and you don't like this and you're going to get mad at me, I'm not even going to apologize for it. Because listen to this press conference and put yourself in a parent's shoes or a sibling's shoes or a friend's shoes. Shit, put yourself in a cop's shoes. The only way that these answers are acceptable to anybody is if you're still trying to protect someone or somebody that was in that house. I understand there's the lens that you could look through that might be, this is corruption. Yes, of course. That's been addressed ad nauseum. Looking back at it, the fact that he says that's going to come into play later. How does he know that? How does he know that? Oh, well, now they're going to release it and they're going to say, Kaylee and Maddie were in the same bed because Kaylee came back to show off her new Range Rover, even though it was from a rental. It was a rental car at the time. No, it was for the formal. It was the +1. Dylan drove all the way out there, invited them. And did they go? Were they with them that entire night? Where were Ethan and Xana the entire night? Nobody knows.
And third floor. And that's as far as we're going to go with that part of the investigation too, because all those key pieces do come to play later. So we do thank you. We thank you for meeting with us. We thank you for helping get information out. And I can assure you, we will continue to work hard. We will continue to do everything we can to solve this. So thank you.
Is this related to the animal mutilation?
Are you able to talk about
This person will strike again.
When do you think this person will strike again? Somebody yells out. Jesus Christ.
To solve this. So thank you.
Listen, towards the end.
Related to the animal mutilation?
Are you able to talk about
This person will strike again.
In terms of victimology, do you think the victims might be connected?
In terms of victimology, what?
In terms of victimology, do you think the victims might be connected? In terms of victimology, do you think the victims might be connected?
Did that reporter ask, in terms of victimology, do you think the victims may have been planted? Is that what they say?
In terms of victimology, do you think the victims might be connected?
I think that's what they said. Oh, connected, not planted. Do you think the victims may have been connected? Okay. For whatever reason, in my headphones, I only have the audio coming through one ear. But, I mean, that's a great question. In terms of victimology, has anybody talked about victimology, really? No. And that's why I love the Hive. I appreciate that. You guys got my back. I see it. Connected. All right. Let's get back to this now. Obviously, I did not plan on spending that first hour watching that, but I'm very glad that we did. Okay. Type a 1 if that was like a good refresher. I'll type a 1. That was pretty eye-opening to me. That really, really just goes to show how bad this was from the jump. I mean, there's so much stuff dropping all of the time, but they've maintained that course. They've maintained that pace. If anything, they've increased the pace of BS. That's going to come into play later. Why? Again, that's why I could never be a reporter. I could never be a reporter. I would never just... I don't think that I could personally handle people giving me the dog and pony show. You know what I mean? Like, in that obvious of a manner. And it's like, hang on, Chief Fry, you have the entire world watching you right now. And that's your answer? Okay. Well, buckle up, because now, if you thought the internet rumors were bad before, okay, well, now your name is about to be floated into these rumors because you're not after the truth. You don't actually know anything, and yet you're reassuring us on nothing. Those rumors might just have more credibility than anything you're saying, is what I'm taking away from it. So I'm going to run with that story. All right. Going back to this entire theme now, I mean, I guess that does tie in quite nicely to what are the effing odds. All right. Let's just go through this. Okay. Let me take that overlay off. This is as much as I could fit on the screen in a text big enough for people to read, to read. Crime scene erased. Check. Cameras turned off at the campus. Wi-Fi down. Yes. The witnesses were silenced. Yep. Surveillance was wiped. Yep. Court system stalled. Yep. Victims' families could not talk. The FBI tripled their IgG case usage starting in 2019. Check. The lobbying budgets rose to $60 million plus annually for IgG. Check. And just maybe Kohberger is being used as a case study to set this precedent moving forward. Check. Check, 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 check. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I would say all of those things really lean into like a premeditated, overarching plan of hiding the truth. And that's just going off of like having a brain and being a normal person that thinks and doesn't just clap along with Ashley Banfield and Brian Enton and Nancy Grace and all these other talking, like just these talking suit douchebags. We could add 30 more check marks to this case. The timeline, the DNA. Can they confirm it was Brian Kohberger? Oh, wait, hang on. We don't even actually need to prove any of that because the prosecutor and the investigators say it themselves that there's no connection to the house with Brian Kohberger or anybody in that house or anybody in their families. And they wish there was, but the reality is they couldn't find it. Yeah. So, guys, wake up. I know everybody in here probably is, but wake up. All right. So if you guys watched Pavarotti's like 9-minute video, he went over Brian Kohberger's like page 1 of this paper. I'm going to read it. I understand people are about to say, Pavarotti already did this. At this point, shit, I'll link arms with Pav. I don't care if he said it. I know there's people that don't see all of his videos, and I know that there's people that watch me that don't watch him. I don't care. I don't think he cares. We all want the truth in here, okay? And if anything, I like the direction he's going because it kind of scratches the itch of the Hive when it comes to tinfoil hat conspiracies. And I say that not to take away from anything, but it's like, I've been talking about this damn NIJ funding for like 6 or 7 months now. And then I'm going to read this, which is a proposal. Okay? This is insane. If you have not seen this, or if you have, let me just reiterate it rather than. So this is topic 1, and this is written by Brian Kohberger. Topic 1, theoretically important, is an offender decision-making, emotionality, and burglary with theft or material gain as the end. All right? While an analysis of criminal behavior under the lens of the rational choice perspective considers the intuitive notion that offenders weigh costs against benefits when committing crimes, not all criminal actions reflect a rational instrumental process. For instance, crimes of passion involve reactive violence, which manifests due to intense emotional arousal, confounding notions of an exclusively cold criminal calculus. With respect to the limitations of the rational choice perspective, the minimization or exclusion of the analysis of the influence of effectivity on offender decision-making permeates existing research. I'm just going to pause there. Okay. I want to know if anybody in here has ever written 5 sentences with that big of with as many big words in there as Brian just did about any subject. And look, I'm not trying to insult people's intelligence. I got great grades in college, 4.0 high school. I never wrote papers like this. Okay? There probably are people that have, but it's a general question. I mean, this is wild. I mean, a PhD candidate, to Kimberly's point, you're not surprised. To that same extent, I'll segue off that, not using your comment as like something against what you're saying there, but it's like, this doesn't line up with somebody who's a serial killer that would just go and do this in a random house that has no connection. Okay. So it permeates existing research. Such a dearth of research surrounding emotions and decision-making, particularly regarding how emotions may interfere with the cost-benefit analysis of offenders, precludes a true apprehension of the intricacies of offender decision-making in various offense contexts. Further compounding this deficiency, studies surrounding the influence of emotionality on offender decision-making throughout the crime commission process are scarce, as is the variety of crimes included in the topics probing. For example, sex offenses and robbery are the only crimes that are discussed. Considering such a gap, a need to expand on existing literature is clearly discerned, which the current proposal wishes to do so by understanding how emotions, both positively and negatively balanced, influence the decision making involved in burglary before, during, and after crime commission. The topic will be probed by way of in-person, semi-structured interviews in a correctional setting. I should go get that damn tinfoil hat right now. I mean, dude. Now let's go back to, and I have another slide. I'll read this, but before I read this one, let me just say this. Washington State University received over $2 million. Kohberger transfers right in the middle of this funding for predictive criminal behavior in emerging adults in a non-clinical setting. My first interpretation of that was outside of the classroom, meaning, oh, maybe in a nearby town. But now it almost sounds like this last sentence of his paper is synonymous with the funding that the damn NIJ gave Washington State, that Brian Kohberger just so happens to transfer into during the middle of that funding, just so happens to have Josh Hurwitz show up in April, just so happen to have CastNet documents show that they're looking at Xana and Maddie when Kohberger gets out there. Okay, now there is real questions to be asked given national security, all of the redactions. Chief Fry, as we just heard, says that'll come into play later. What the hell is going on? The current proposal wishes to do so by understanding how emotions, both positively and negatively balanced, influence the decision-making involved in burglary before, during, and after crime commission. The topic will be probed by way of in-person, semi-structured interviews in a correctional setting. Well, what does semi-structured mean? So like a business casual interview where you're like not undercover, but maybe you're like in a position yourself, representing a role of somebody that you're interviewing somebody on questions regarding crimes. I'm sure the U.S. government and the NIJ wouldn't use like black budget funding or wouldn't give research grants to do this type of stuff, right? Given how there's a giant gap in any crimes studied outside of sex offenses and robberies. And I'm sure that the odds of Brian Kohberger writing a proposal about how there's a lack of studying any other crimes is widely discerned, and we have no research on it. So he's not just coincidentally proposing that he goes in and studies positive and negative decision-making skills that are involved during and after crimes in a correctional setting. I'm sure I'm just making this all up, right? There's no way that this guy actually just wrote that all down on paper, right? Again, what are the odds given everything else? And burglary was one of his charges. And everyone goes, burglary? What does that mean? All right. Topic 2. An exploration of training needs of officers conducting digital forensic examinations. The utilization of technology presents a proliferating and multifaceted aspect of daily contemporary life, reflective of its ingrained nature in many elements of contemporary life, even those that are unconventional. Technology has inevitably become a fruitful source of inculpatory and exculpatory criminal evidence. In fact, digital evidence is identifiable in every type of investigation conducted by local, state, and federal authorities. Given the adaptability and amplitude of digital evidence, the identification, collection, analysis, and storage of such data is paramount to efficiently, efficaciously, see, that's what I mean. We're just going to say efficiently and successfully administering justice. Unfortunately, there is currently no training standard to which digital forensic examiners conduct these analyses, confounded by the fact that local police departments are notably understaffed and under-resourced to rise to the challenges that arise from the processing and storage of digital evidence, which we know there was a hell of a lot of it in this case. The extent to which local police officers are undertrained needs to be indicated in order to fully understand the needs of local police departments with respect to digital evidence, which few studies have explored. The current proposal wishes to explore the training needs of officers conducting digital forensic examinations of evidence by way of survey. The survey will enable that officers convey the areas of expertise that they have obtained through experience and or training, thus shedding light on areas of proficiency and deficiency. Oh, man. If this angle is not looked into as heavily as the frats, as drugs, I'm going to be mind blown. There's an angle that has legs to it. Following the money at an elite criminology school, being WSU, in which Brian Kohberger went to, where he's writing papers about exactly what happened to him. I'm sure that nobody is smart enough in the FBI or the DOJ or the marshals or anything else where federal dollars, although we may think they're dumbasses, I'm sure that they've never pulled off sophisticated operations to overturn governments, get us into year-long wars on drugs, invisible enemy type stuff where we all buy it and believe it because the media convinces all of us that it's real and it only takes us a decade or longer to catch on. No, I'm sure they're not capable of doing that. And it's probably a stretch to think, wow, maybe the angle to this entire thing is that Brian Kohberger wanting to study this is what set up the sting on the Pacific Northwest Highway. That'll come into play later, as Chief Fry says. The lack of details, the redactions, the national security, all of the rumors about the families. One might say it's a perfect location to conduct this type of study. We have a blueprint that encapsulates everything that we've discussed at lengths when it comes to certain things. Meaning, well, I guess maybe here in the Hive, the funding is under talked about. The Pacific Northwest Highway is not. The university is not. Meaning, everybody talks about that. What if you throw this into the mix? What if you throw this lens and this angle into the mix? Everybody says, why that house? Why Idaho? Why these girls? I understand that it's federal dollars. Maybe we all have our own opinions on if federal money is spent responsibly or irresponsible. But if anybody does their research, they absolutely hit a home run on where they decided to do this, if it is this study. I will continue. At the bottom, his professor or whoever is grading this paper or adding corrections to it says, both topics are good. I, without surprise, find the first topic more interesting, but it's clearly more long-term. The second option might be good to get a line on, or whatever it says, or if you have an in or easy access. Pretty much anything that's proposed by Brian Kohberger in this paper, given this case, given the redactions, given the initial press conferences, you get a conviction for the masses where everybody now has to face a choice. I'm referring to Mowich in this slide, meaning you say the real guy died in the hospital and you have no surviving suspects. Or do you frame a guy, Brian Kohberger? You're going to use the real suspect's DNA to anchor the crime behind the guise of national security, and you're going to keep this machine moving. To get a line on your CV if you have an in. What do you guys think a line on your CV means? So This is what I want to talk about. I've not dug into this that much. But I want to know if we can find a connection between Josh Hurwitz and Brian Kohberger. That's what I want to know. This is a stretch, what I'm about to say. Brian Kohberger is from Pennsylvania. Josh Hurwitz is a part of the Biden administration. Where's the Biden administration from? Pennsylvania. Okay, I'm thinking out loud. I'm trying to say anything that comes into my head to let people in the hive run with that may somehow, by the skin of our nuts, be a connection here. Okay? Is there a connection to Josh Hurwitz and Brian Kohberger? Well, and yes, obviously we need to first establish Brian Kohberger is a real person. I agree. I've never met somebody born in 94 that has only 5 pictures as a digital footprint ever, especially when they're the person that's guilty of the crime. Well, and so if Josh is Trump's guy, Trump made comments, whatever. I'm just trying to say, I don't care which president. I'm saying, is there a connection between Josh Hurwitz and Brian Kohberger? All right. That's all that I'm trying to say. Their timeline being out in Idaho or Josh being back in Idaho is interesting. Big Amish Media sent one of my mods, Luna, some very, very interesting screenshots. I'm going to try to pull them up here quick. Big Amish said, let Birdie know there may be something on the U of Phoenix purchase. U of I hired Holland and Hertz to review the purchase and found it legal. Guess who now works for Holland and Hertz? Yes, Hurwitz. Okay. Big Amish also seems to have confirmed that, yes, there were legislative hearings and President Scott Green testified. Now, this is just a cursory review. However, if you guys tuned in 3, 4, 5 days ago, I did mention a TikTok comment that said their theory is that this is like a 9/11 event where we announced trillions of dollars missing, and the very next day, a plane makes Building 7 collapse, even though it never hit it. The whole point is this. Is there a different lens? Because people might get mad at me for saying this. You got to give credit where credit is due. And if the feds didn't want us to figure this out, damn it, they did a great job. Does everybody agree with that? If there is an overarching agency or a power or a government entity that did not want the public to figure this out and just have an inkling, but no details, they did an unbelievable job at giving themselves years. And I mean, I don't know. And Drew Bledsoe said Dylan waited 8 hours to call 911. Bethany's a liar. Rosie and Loach knows. Stacy Chapin knows. Obviously, the Phoenix purchase has something to do with this. Green is in bed with Stacy. If that is true, dude. And thank you for the super chat. Holy shit. It did pop up on the screen. I was just distracted. Sorry, brother. So this is what I want to look into. What's their connection? That's what I want to be diving into the rest of the week. I'll leave you guys with this. This is the NIJ funding. They awarded over $11 million to support forensic science research and development in 2022. The DOJ press release, Justice Department awards almost $160 million to support forensic science on September 30th of 2022. All right. And you can go and you can look through. This was released on November 22nd. However, on September 30th, the NIJ announced an $11.6 million in funding to support 23 projects under the NIJ FY22 Research and Development Forensic Science for Criminal Justice Purposes solicitation. Through its research and development grant funding, NIJ continues to advance the speed, accuracy, and reliability of forensic analysis, which ultimately bolsters the administration of justice. Now, what's this first one? Touch DNA, genetic genealogy, rapid field testing for I guess that's marijuana. But you go through this, it's pretty interesting to see when you go look at the full list of the rewards. You'll find a lot about genetic genealogy and IgG. Touch DNA. This specific one, again, I'm just trying to say there was so much funding in 2022 for this DNA. The NIJ seeks applications for funding for basic or applied research and development in forensic science for criminal justice purposes. This program furthers the DOJ's mission by supporting the development of new knowledge and tools to address the challenges of crime and justice. You go look through all this. I mean, so I'd encourage people to go look through this site. Woody JR, thank you so much for the super chat. Great question. It's a moral question. Throw out all your predispositions. You're a prosecutor and know for a fact BK is guilty. Is it okay to bend or break the law to convict? I don't think it is. Type of 1 if you think it's okay. Type of 2 if you think it's not. My answer would be a 2. I do not believe that it's okay to bend the law. I believe that if you are guilty of a crime, there is no reason in today's day and age you should not be able to be found guilty of that crime, given the surveillance, given the God knows what else technology. And if there is a standout case, let's say they do bend the laws, well, you better have a shitload of evidence to back it up. And if that's what they did in this case, they certainly do not have that evidence. And Hive, I hope you all enjoyed this stream. I certainly did. You guys rock. I will be back in the Hive tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. Central. Again, I just want to say this. Rest in peace to Tommy Jude. Tommy, you're a real one, and I'm going to miss you. And I know a lot of people are going to miss you. And thank you to everybody that gave their respects to Tommy. And also, I think, a shout out to the Hive for addressing it and then being able to move on and address very important information. I hope everybody has a great night. Cheers, everybody.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life.